Well, that's joysticks.
Yeah.
Jim Greenleaf, I think, was wonderful as McDorfus. The critic in Dallas said, are we on? The critic in Dallas said, joysticks inspired Drek.
Is that a compliment?
Oh, well, I took it that way. I don't know.
Okay.
All right, let's just get to Q&A, unless you want to say something.
You know what? It's a pleasure being here with you, Greydon, and with all the gamers. This has been a unique experience because most of you, first of all, how many of you see this before? Okay, now here's the question. How many of you were over 18 when you saw it for the first time? See, that's what I'm saying. So it's much more than an arcade movie. It's a growth as an individual. I think that's important. But real pleasure being here. And before we begin, I got to say thank you very much to Jerry Ellsworth. She's behind us being here, and Thelma also. And if you haven't experienced it yet, Greg and I are over at the arcade, I guess is what we're going to call it. And Jerry's created the joystick reproduction, and you too can play Satan's Hall yourself
With
over
the
there.
big ball and the whole thing.
Great, stop it. But a pure joy to be here, and thank you all so much. Who would have thought 13 days of wild, crazy, unadulterated sex would bring me to this point in my life? So with that, I'd love to open it up to any
Questions, anybody? All right, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
So where was that shot?
That was made in Los Angeles. It was made in late 1982, released in 1983.
Stage 6, Universal Studios?
No,
No.
not quite. Small sound stage in Hollywood. It's a very low budget film. We filmed in 3 weeks, 15 days, for about $300,000. And what happened was, you guys might be interested in this, the picture that I made just prior to this was a picture called Wacko, and we had a test screening in San Antonio, Texas. So I was down there for the screening. This would have been in 1981, I guess, or maybe...
Wasn't it like 96?
Yeah, right. And so anyhow, it was screened at a multiplex. And I went into the multiplex, and I went into the lobby, and I don't know, there was 8 or 10 screens or whatever it was, and I looked over to my side, to the left, and there was maybe 15 or 20 guys standing in a line. And I thought, maybe they're giving free popcorn, I don't know what to think. So I walked over there, and I saw my first video game. They had their quarters, and they were standing in line waiting for the guy in front of them to lose so they could play. And I looked at it immediately, and a light bulb went up on the top of my head, and I said, I can make a movie out of this. So I came back to Los Angeles, where I lived, and at that time there was about maybe a half a dozen arcades around Southern California, and I started going to them and looking what it was like, and so on and so forth. And
This was a case study for you?
this was my next movie.
You sick person.
So anyhow, I sat down with a couple of writer friends I had, and we devised the story. And one of the problems that I had visually as a director is everybody is looking into this little thing, you know, that when they're playing the game. So there was no filmic visual for it. So I went to my art director and I said, I want a big joystick that I can put the two guys that are playing opposite one another. I put them on a platform and then have a big screen of the game. And the art director said, well, he could build that for me, but he didn't know how he could coordinate the game with it. Well, I said, we don't have to, because that was all done optically afterwards.
No way.
Yeah. So,
But I beat Pac-Man, didn't I?
So yes, you did.
Okay.
So the games itself, when the actors were reacting to it, what have you, is just a blank screen. And we would say, okay, now you've won, now you've lost, now you're this, now you're that. And that's where the ball came from. And nobody thought we could do it practically until it was done in Portland, right? Yes. And
Many years of
yeah,
trial
right.
and error, Joe.
So, what else can I say? Ask another question.
Well, you know, wait, time out. So, 10 years at Juilliard, and I got cast. Pretty good, because it was all optical illusion. When we did the film, of course, mine is the comedy Relief, and we did my stuff in masters, as you see. Not a lot of cuts. I thought it was brilliant, the fact that Greydon allowed me to just keep it whole. We didn't have to cut. Then I went
It was
to...
because I didn't have the budget to do it.
Well, no, but I remember going to the movie, sitting next to Joe Dunn, and we went to the movie, which he enjoyed. I noticed that the cuts were mostly woman's anatomy. With the cuts, Greydon.
In the business, they're called tickets.
Yeah.
This goes back to how many again were under 18 and they saw the film?
So,
Yes, sir.
I'll just, try a quick one. I'm just curious about the soundtrack. Was it all original songs?
Was all original songs. To be real honest, I've made a number of movies. I've made 20 movies, and JOYSTICKS happens to be my 10th.
Okay.
And so I think I know a little bit about making movies, but I know nothing about music. I'm almost tone deaf. So the way I had to work with composers is, we would edit the picture, and when the picture was finished editing, you, what they call lock it, which means you're not going to change it. And then you get with your composer and you go over the film and you say, we want a song here, we want this or that. But any composer, and I usually use guys again and again because they were used to my failed input, because if they would say to me, should I put a horn here, or should I put a vocal, or should I do this, I would have no idea. So they would go and they would create the music and then play it for me, and I would say good, bad, or indifferent, and we would put it in. But it's all original, and there's some great songs in there. I like the music track very, very much in that.
And he stuck to the script. I remember, improv is my forte, and I would come to him like there was a scene where coming off the roof, and I came to Greydon and said, Greydon, I got an idea. Improv, why don't you let me come out of the roof? He says, no, Jim, we're sticking to the script, which we did.
And that again is a budget thing.
Wait, my improv was a budget thing?
I know you guys are basically gamers, and this is the first convention I've been to, obviously, having